Welcome to History Flashback. Joseph Stalin was a Soviet politician and dictator who led the Soviet Union from the mid-1920s until his death in 1953. He was one of the most controversial and enigmatic figures of the 20th century, and his rule was marked by extensive political repression, widespread human rights violations, and devastating economic policies. Stalin was born in 1878 in the Georgian town of Gori, and he spent much of his early life working as a revolutionary and a communist agitator. He quickly rose through the ranks of the Communist Party, and by the 1920s, he had become one of the most powerful figures in the Soviet government. In 1924, Lenin, the founder of the Soviet Union, died, leaving a power vacuum that Stalin was able to fill. He quickly consolidated power and eliminated his rivals, and by the late 1920s, he had become the undisputed leader of the Soviet Union. One of Stalin's first major acts as leader was the forced collectivization of agriculture, which led to the deaths of millions of people through starvation and repression. He also launched a series of brutal purges in the 1930s, in which he arrested and executed many of his political rivals and those he perceived as threats to his rule. During World War II, Stalin led the Soviet Union in its fight against Nazi Germany, and his leadership was instrumental in the eventual defeat of the Nazis. However, the war also led to the deaths of millions of Soviet citizens, and Stalin's policies were largely responsible for the devastation. After the war, Stalin continued to rule the Soviet Union with an iron fist, and he continued to repress political dissent and suppress human rights. In 1953, he died of a stroke, leaving behind a legacy of repression and terror. Despite this, many Soviet citizens still remembered him fondly, due to the victory in the war, the modernization of the country and the strong sense of nationalism that he instilled. The legacy of Stalin's rule is still a subject of much debate and controversy, with some seeing him as a hero who modernized and industrialized the Soviet Union and others seeing him as a ruthless dictator who caused the deaths of millions of innocent people. Subscribe for more.